What's up, guys? It's Wolf from the Quarantine, and today I have something a little unique for you. As some of you guys may know, I was working on a game called Spiral Empires. As of right now, Spiral Empires is basically finished, but at this point I'm just trying to get it sold to publishers, which, me being a nobody, and I've never released a game before, that's proving a lot harder than I originally thought, because the game is a big game, something on scale of like Twilight Imperium or something, in respects of pieces and parts and manufacturing costs and whole nine yards. So what I started doing is I was working on another game. It's a hidden trader game that takes inspiration from games like Dark Moon, Battlestar Galactica, Dead of Winter, several other ones, and I take a lot of inspiration from that. It still doesn't have a name, but the theme is, think of like the 1970s The Thing. That's basically the theme. The game, of course, is in prototype, so everything kind of looks terrible, but I wanted to show the game for anybody who maybe wants to follow along and support me, which my Patreon's up here. If you'd like to support me or the show, like I said, links up there. This one's slowly going to be worked on and refined, pretty much the same way I did with Spiral Empires. There is another game I'm working on as well. It does have a name. It's called, I think, The End of Days is what I have it named currently, with a tagline of the lightest heavy game you've ever played. And it's about nuclear war, and how basically nobody wins during a nuclear war, and global nuclear war. And basically that nobody actually wins in that case. And that's kind of what the game is about. But let's just go straight over to the overview of this game, and like I said, what you see is all prototype, of course. It's all made on sorry components, most of it anyways. And the game isn't very balanced, and there's a lot of missing components and pieces and gameplay elements, but it's what I got now, and I was able to test play it with some friends, and they liked it. Of course, it needs a lot of work, but they said the feel of the game, the overall like systems, work really well together, and they really liked it. So let's go straight over, and I'll show you how the game works. Alright, this is basically what the game's going to be set up. Now, each player is going to have like a player screen that sits in front of them, but I haven't made those yet. Each player is going to get an in and an out card. You're going to get a red and blue infection card, and then you're going to deal out the actual resistance cards to everybody. Now, the thing about my game is, whenever you play a hidden trader game, what's the most disappointing part of playing a hidden trader game? Like my favorite one, Battlestar Galactica. It's not being a Cylon, or not being the trader in general. It's kind of a bummer. You have a blast with the game, you still have a lot of fun, but you really wanted to be that trader, because it's a lot of fun to be one. But in my game, it's a choice to become the trader, and I'll touch on that a little bit more. So everybody, rather than getting your role card, whether you're loyal or a traitor, you're going to get a resistance card. So depending on your resistance, the theme is going to be a sci-fi theme. Basically, your starship has crash-landed on an alien planet. You've sent out an SOS signal. There's only been a few survivors in the crash, and now you realize that the air has a pathogen in it, which is slowly driving everybody insane and killing them. And so you're certain, each person has different resistance levels and blah, 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 blah. So you're going to get these resistance cards. So throughout the course of the game, different actions you take, you're going to draw these infection cards. So that's a 0%, and then a 5%, a 10%, and so on and so forth. And it climbs, and there's 150% in the deck. So once all these add up, if they are equal to or less than, equal to or more than your resistance level, you are now a traitor. You are infected. Or mutated, I think is what I have it called currently. But, so that's how that works. So there's no actual, like, you're the traitor and everybody else is loyal. It's everybody has the option to be the traitor. But then you're going to choose your color. Your color is kind of pointless. It doesn't really matter currently. This may change. But you're going to have your little pawn. And then you look at the board here. You're going to set up 2 of these time tokens out. This is how long it takes for your SOS signal to reach somebody and them to get to you. Now you're going to put out 2 per player. Currently I have it set to 3 to 6 players. But so you got these here, and I just have all 6 of them out, or all 12 of them out. You're going to put the damage tokens here. You're going to have 6 food, 6 power, and 6 morale. And then you're ready to play. So each player is going to immediately draw 2 cards. If they draw the 50%, they can shuffle it back in and draw another one. So this is your initial infection. So in our case, we have a 60% resistance. So right now we're at 5%, we're totally fine. Some of these infection cards have special thing on it, like this one says lose 1 power, and I'll get to that. So what you're going to do is on your turn, similar to something like Battlestar Galactica, I should probably rewind, each player is also going to get 4 dice. Most of the sides on the dice, these are all 4 -2s, a +2, a +1, a +1, and a -1. And that's D8 because I like the ergonomics of a D8 and a D10 better. So each person's going to get 4 of these, and you're going to have them, public display to show how many you have. I haven't. You might be able to hide them behind and lie about how many you have. I'm not sure yet, but each player is also going to get these. I failed to mention that. But throughout the course of the game, you're going to choose one of these different areas. So you have the outside med bay, computer room, engineering, crew quarters, bridge, the intensive care unit, and quarantine. So what you're going to do is each location has different actions you can take. So you get a move and an action similar to something like Battlestar Galactica. So you also have one extra room here that doesn't have a name. This one always allows you to repair a location, which I'll touch on. But so if you go to the computer room, the 3 actions are scan the ship, roll 3 dice, and discard a positive, look at the top emergency card, put it on the top or the bottom. So if I go here and then I go, okay, I'll take this one as my action, and you just kind of do it. Certain ones of these, which I haven't figured out which ones yet, but certain ones of these, when you activate, it's going to require a power. So you're going to take this and you're going to remove it off the board. If any one of these 3 ever drops to 0, you just lose. Once the time drops down to 0, you win. Let me back up a little bit. If the time cubes go to 0, the traders lose, and any traders that may be there just lose, and the players win. The uninfected or unmutated win. Now, if the power, food, or morale drop to 0, then the traders win. With an exception, throughout the game, if there's when the game ends, if there's ever more than 1 person that is over their resistance level, then all of the traders just lose, or all of the mutated just lose, and the unmutated actually win. And the theme behind this is, unbeknownst to the uninfected or the unmutated, self-destruct sequence was activated or something along those lines, and basically the entire ship is just destroyed in order to stop the pathogen from spreading. So that way, yeah, everybody dies, but in the long run, the virus actually loses, is essentially what it is. So the reasoning for that is that way you can choose to be the trader. You can go ahead and keep getting all these cards, or even if you're not mutated, you are still infected with the pathogen, so you can still choose to just screw everything over and just try to get above your resistance level. But if at the end of the game there's more than 1 of you, so that way it gives you a little bit of stress. Because another one of the things, the computer room, you can scan the ship for infected. What you can do is, if you are above your resistance level, you're going to take these 2 cards, and red means you are mutated, blue means you're not. So everybody will take whatever card there, they'll put it in the middle, shuffle them up, and reveal them. So that way you can tell, okay, how many people are mutated on the ship. And it allows you to kind of try to control the contagion. Another one of the rooms here, is, for example, is med bay, because you got all these different cards. So let's say we take a whole bunch of these right here. So we got 5%, so we got 55%. So technically we are still not over our resistance level. So that's a lot of cards, and it might be really hard to try to plead with people, look, I'm not mutated, I'm fine, but because that's quite a number of cards. But medbay, you can discard an infected card and you perform all reactions. That's just something you can do for free. It's probably not going to cost power. So you get to choose one of these. And the reactions are what's down here. Lose 1 power. So if I chose to discard this, we would have to lose an additional power. This one you'd have to lose a morale. This one you'd have to lose a food. This one would be nothing. This would be safe to discard. So if people saw me go, okay, well, I'll discard this one. Okay, am I discarding it because it's only a 5%?
and you just want it to look good, or are you discarding it because it's the only safe card? Some of the zeros even have one, and I'll get to that. Another thing you can do here is you can roll 3 dice. You can discard a positive to discard an infection without performing the reaction, which is good. So you can get rid of this 20 and not have to lose morale. Then the other one you can do is you can roll 3 dice, discard a positive to force another player to discard an infection card, but you do perform all reactions. So if the guy sitting across from you is acting really fishy, and you're like, you know what, go screw yourself, we're pinning you down in the med bay, and we're going to force a cure and blah blah blah, so you would randomly pick one of their cards, but then you have to do what's on it. So it's a way to try to control the contagion. Now, that leads to, in my opinion, some interesting things, because now does that player, if he's under his resistance level, does he go ahead and start playing nice because he's no longer trying to burn the ship? Or is he angry because they took away his chance to be the bad guy? He is still technically infected with the pathogen, so does he go ahead and watch the ship burn, screw everybody? So that's kind of what I'm trying to go for. I want it to be more of a choice. There's a bunch of other things you can do, like you can, in the bridge, you can send somebody to the quarantine. The quarantine allows, you can 6+, you can leave the quarantine, you can discard 2 infection cards, and what is it? Yeah, at random. You don't do the reactions if you do. The other thing you can do is you can give one player an action instead. So if you're in the bridge, you can go, look, I need you to do this. You can have an action. The ICU, you don't draw back up to your maximum dice, which is, again, 4. Crew quarters, there's, you can gain morale, stuff like that. So some of these you can gain the morale, gain power, and gain food back as well. So once you've taken your one action, then you're going to draw 2 of these cards, and you have to choose one of these to perform. So the way these work is you have 2 different types. You have some that just say damage the ship twice, which I have a little chart here that you probably can't roll or can't see, that you will roll, which apparently the die is gone. Basically, you roll a d6, and you'll roll it. Here it is. Roll this. Okay, 3 is you would just lose morale, but no, this is for damage. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You do this. Okay, 1, so you take a black cube and you'd put it here. You can no longer use the outside until it's repaired. If all 6 cubes are there, then the ship is destroyed and everybody dies, and the infected win, unless, of course, there's more than one. But the way these work is this, I might be changing, but the way this works is you would go, okay, you have to test 6+. So this would go face down at the bottom of the deck if you chose not to do this one. And this one you would go, okay, we have a 6+, and everybody decides, okay, whether you're in or you're out. I'm probably going to make 2 different decks depending on like 3 or 4 players and then 5 and 6 players. So as of right now, it's just 1 deck, and it's really hard to pull these off. But so we do the 6+. You'll put it here in current emergency, and everybody says whether they're in or they're out. If they're in, then everybody is going to be rolling dice and trying to add to that. If they're out, you're going to gain 2 dice from the supply, which is right here in the dice pool. Any used dice would go here. You are allowed to go over your maximum if the dice are available. And then, so we got this, and you're all in, so you'd roll these. And if you roll, you have to contribute a die. So you're going to have your little player screen. And I'm sorry if this is all over the place. The rules are not actually written down yet. So they're all just kind of coming out of my head, and I'm trying to remember everything. And where I don't script anything makes things hard. So I would go, okay, I'll give a +1. And you know what? We need a 6, and say there's 2 or 3 other people. I'm going to roll these again. And if I'm a traitor, maybe I go, oh no, the best thing I rolled was a -2. Should I try again? Okay. Oh no, another -2. And basically, each player is going to be able to do that. Once every person that was in has gotten a chance to, or has at least contributed a die, then if the total adds up to your 6+, then you will remove one of these time cubes. If it does not, you're going to, as of right now, you are going to always just lose a morale, and then you're going to roll this damage die here, well, however many times it says here. So we'd roll it once, a 2 is power, so we lose an additional power. Roll it again, another 2, we'd lose an additional power. So now we've lost quite a bit because we failed this. And that definitely is going to need some balancing, but that's pretty much how it works currently. And again, if the ship blows up or if any of these drop to 0, the infected player wins unless there's more than one. Then, all the infected players lose. If this time, so in this case you've completed 12 of these, then you are rescued and the unmutated players win. Now there's a couple other things. If you ever reach 100%, you're going to be dead. I might make it incapacitated instead of dead. I'm not 100% sure. But as of right now, you're going to be dead, and it's basically player elimination, but I'm going to give each player a board. Not each player, but I'm going to have like a dead board, so that way you still have actions that you can take. But I may make it that if you ever reach 100%, you have to reveal your hand. You get to shuffle it up, randomly discard half of your hand, and then go to the ICU at the start of your turn. I might do something like that. But that's basically how you play the game. I'm shooting for something close to like an hour, maybe the hour and a half time frame. As of right now, it seems like it'll hit that mark. Granted, that's with like 4 players. More players, of course, will be more. But with 4 players, it seems like it's going to hit that mark. I have some balancing acts that I have to do. The infection rates seem to be okay. Maybe the events here need to be a little balanced, but the actual numbers themselves seem to be fine. The rooms need to be rebalanced a little bit. I need to put which ones require power. Food, every round, I'm trying to remember how you lose food. I think it's every round whenever it gets back around to the first player, because first player stays the first player. Because the first player doesn't mean anything, but whenever it gets around to the first player, you lose a food. So you have 6 rounds unless you start getting food. So that way it's not a big deal, but it could be. So I might rebalance these dice to where a lot more of them take away from food. Not 100% sure, but that is basically this game. I don't really have a name for it. So rather than final thoughts, I'm just going to go ahead and go back and talk to the camera.
Alright, well there you have it. Again, it doesn't have a name yet, and I don't really know what to call it. I think as pretty much like with Spiral Empires didn't have a name for the first year of development. It was just the space game. And then I saw a little logo that looked like a spiral galaxy, which is actually the one I use now for Spiral Empires. And I was like, oh, that Spiral Empire, that's really cool. Or Spirals, it's really cool. And it just slowly clicked of, okay, well, you're building this galactic empire, so let's just call it Spiral Empires, because you're building empires in a spiral galaxy. So that's kind of how that came around. And I'm hoping that this one does the same. The more I test play it, I need to work on it a little bit more, actually. But the more I test play it, the more a name will just kind of come to me. I actually just recently watched The Thing again, just so I can get in that mindset of paranoia. Because that's really what I'm trying to give with the game. The fact that everybody can choose to be the traitor from the get-go. You can start off and have 0% in your hand and go, fuck everybody, I want to watch them burn. And you just choose to be the traitor, and I want that to be able to be a thing. So throughout the course of the game, maybe you could use what you know about everybody, because I want it to be somewhat of a social game as well. You know that Bill's a jerk and he always wants to watch the world burn. You're probably going to be an asshole to him, but little do you know, Bill actually is legitimate and doesn't want to be infected. He's trying his best not to, but so on and so forth. And that's kind of what I'm trying to get at. It's definitely going to be a balancing act to keep the game fair and balanced, but it's something I'm working on. If you want to support me, the show, the game, whatever, I have a Patreon up here. If you could give this video a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, that would be awesome. And I will see you guys next time in the quarantine.